All right, this video is about category number 3. Just kidding, category number 1. And so this is Ed Puzzle 28. And so this one has a lot. This one has the most questions. If you can get a lot of these questions right and just a couple from the other categories, you're going to pass. So I want you to do your best. I want you to pass. I want you to graduate, and whatever I have to do to help you, I'm going to help you. So this is for your STAR test. Remember that it's on May 4th. We have less than 2 weeks. And let me show you some strategies for category number 1. So this category is all about slope and linear functions. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is slope from a graph. And so that's why if you look on Focus, your project consists of mostly IXLs about this. Remember, your project is on there, and I'll be staying after school on Thursday if you need help. So slope from a graph, because you're going to have a problem. And it's one of the IXLs. It's actually the first IXL. You're going to pick 2 points. The points have to go through the cross. So they have to go through like this cross. They have to go perfectly through the cross. That way you can count them. After you pick 2 points, you're going to draw the stairs, and then you're going to count. And you're going to do rise over the run. That's your slope. How many it's going up, down, the change of, oh my God, I just misspelled that. You're going to count how many it's going up and down over how many it's running. Okay, that's the change of y over the change of x. So you pick 2 points. They have to go through the cross, and then you're going to count the rise, how many it's going up and down over the run. So we've done that before. I want you to practice. It's the part 1 of your project, so you can practice with that. Okay, but that's going to be a question for sure. Let me show you one. It is, let me click pause to make sure I know which one it is. All right, so if you notice on this one, they may not say slope, they'll say rate of change. That's the same thing. So on here, you can see it already has the 2 points picked out for you, but let me zoom in and let me show you. So they already have the points, and now we're just going to count rise over run. Trying to draw on the screen. Here we go. So the rise is how many it's going this way. So we're counting the rise over the run. So the rise right here it goes from 250 to 350, so that's 100. The difference in that is 100 over the run, which is just 1, because it goes from 2 to 3, so it's just 1. So it's 100 over, why is it not 100 over 1. And that reduces to 100. 100 divided by 1 is 100. So that would be what I would get for this one. So now I want you to practice with number 36. That doesn't look right. Hold on. Okay, try this one. I wrote down 26. I wrote down 36 and 26. All right, so you're going to pick 2 points, and then you're going to count the rise over the run. Now, remember for this one, let me show you something. Remember that we need to use slope man for a couple things. So you have to remember how to get the slope. I need you to practice. The other thing that you have to memorize is slope man. So do you remember slope man? So if a line looks like this, then it's a positive slope. If it looks like this, it's negative. If it's the mouth, a horizontal line, your slope is 0. That's what the dimples are for. And then if it's an up and down line, it's undefined. It's an x equals line, and that's slope man. So for this one, what kind of slope is it? Positive, negative, or 0? Or undefined? Positive, negative, 0, or undefined? it's negative because it's going this way. If I was going to write my name on it, watch, my name would be going down. That's another way you could think about it. Your name would be going down. Okay, so you pick 2 points and count the rise over the run. Okay, so that is one of them. The next thing that we're going to do is how to get slope from a formula. This is also a part of your project. So let me clear this and let me remind you how to get slope from 2 points. So we have a slope formula. This is also, this is part 2 of your project. So this is your slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, the first thing that you do is you label the points this way. x1, y1, x2, y2. So, for example, if it's something like this, then you're going to label x1, y1, x2, y2. You're going to put it in the formula, in the calculator, using your formula. Decimal scientific, you're going to type it in, put the little fraction symbol first. It's right underneath the little tool. You're going to click on that first, and then you're going to do y2. So y2 in the problem is 5 minus, it's a negative 6 for y1. Because it's negative, I'm going to put the negative. Just because you have the minus doesn't mean you don't put a negative. And then over x2, x2 is 0. Minus x1, which is 8. And then that's your slope. Now, we prefer slope in fractions, so you click on that to make it into a fraction. So I want you to practice with the next one. And that is number 5. So on this one, you have them in a table. You can still do the same thing. So what we're going to do is we just need 2 points. So we're going to pick 2 points and we're going to write them down. So this is number 5. I'm going to write down the first one, negative 7.5, comma 12, and negative 3.5, comma 0. Okay. And then I'm going to label x1. X always goes first, and then y1, x2, and then y2. And then I'm going to use my formula, and I'm going to put them in the calculator. Okay. So y2 is 0, y1 is 12, x2 is negative 3.5, x1 is negative 7.5. Notice that when it's negative, you have to put the negative, even though you have minus already. All right, so wrong calculator. We need the scientific. Press the fraction so you can have fraction, and then you're going to type in what we have on paper, and it's going to reduce it for you. Remember, we prefer fractions over decimals. Was it negative? Yeah. Negative 3.5 minus negative 7.5 equals negative 3. And so that means my slope is negative 3. Oops. So which one has a slope of negative 3? That means it's in front of the x. It has to be a because that's my slope. Okay, so we did this one. Now I want you to practice. On the part 2 of your project, but I also want you to practice with this one. Find the slope for this one. So stop the video and find the slope. Pick 2 points, label x1, y1, x2, y2. Put them in your scientific calculator. Let's see if you got it right. So I'm going to pick 2 points. It doesn't matter which one you pick. As long as you label You put in the calculator, right? X1, Y1, X2, Y2. Okay, Y2 is negative 186. X1 is 268. X2 minus X1. Let's put that in the calculator. Minus a negative 268 over negative 14 minus a negative 20 equals to 12. So my slope is 12. Good job. You got that correct. All right, so now there's two other ones I want to show you. It's going to be the x and the y-intercept. Those you have to know. So I've shown you three things. Slope from a graph, slope man, slope from 2 points, and now I'm going to show you very important. You can get so many right if you remember this and if you can do this correctly. The x and the y-intercept. So super, 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 super important. X and y intercepts. You have to know this. You have to know this. Okay, so you have a y-axis because it's going to say y and it's going to have the numbers. It's going to be darker than the other ones. You have an x and then you have the numbers here. Wherever your graph crosses this line is the y-axis. And I like to say it's the beginning point. I like to say B for banana, B for the y-intercept. It's the B, your beginning. Okay? So the y-intercept crosses the y-axis. I like to draw a little banana for it. For this one, x is always 0. It's the beginning point, the first one that you start with. Okay? Now, the heart goes through the x-axis. So this one, wherever it crosses this x-axis, that's your heart. It's the x-intercept. And for this one, it has several names. For this one, sorry, y is equal to 0. This is also called the root. It's also called the 0. Those are other names for this one. You have to know this. You must know how to do this. Wherever it crosses, that's the y-intercept, that's the x-intercept. So let's do an example. It is here we go. It's asking you for the y-intercept. I'm going to zoom in. I want you to tell me what's the y-intercept. It's where it crosses this line. The graph crosses right there at 5.5. You have to know this. It's super important. Let me show you another example. Here we go. It's asking you for the y-intercept. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Okay, and then tell me what's your answer. What is the y-intercept? So if you look closely, it crosses right here at -2, but there's two answer choices that have -2. Is it G or is it J? Remember, for the y-intercept, it's the opposite. X is equal to 0, so it should be G. Good job if you got it right. All right, now I'm going to show you two other kind. So I've shown you how to get it from a graph. We've talked about that, how to get it from 2 points, slope man, x and y-intercept. So there's two other things I'm going to show you. It is how to solve for y, which we've done before, and then how to solve for x. Okay, so the first one, if we're solving for y, we want to move everything away from y. So if it's something like this, we've done this before, we want to draw a line down the equal sign. This has no x, no y. This is the y. This one doesn't have x or y. So on this side, what doesn't belong here? Because we were solving for y, that means getting y by itself. This doesn't belong because it's not a y. So we have to move it. Okay, we need this to equal to 0 to move. So this is positive. When it moves, it changes sign. Now it's negative. So 4x minus x is 0. And then we bring everything down. And that's it. That's all you have to do for this one. So let's do an example. Let's see what we have on here. Looks like it might be 18, but okay, so let's look at this one. So I'm going to zoom in and we're going to solve this problem. What was it again? 3x minus 4y equals 6. So again, we want to know what do we need to move. This is a circle. This is no x and y. This is an x. So we need to move this one because it's not a y. So subtract. Bring everything down. Okay, what's in front of the y? A -4. That means we have to divide everything by -4. Okay, and so we can see which one is our answer. A negative divided by a negative is positive. So it's going to be positive 3/4. -3/2 is what happens when you simplify those two. So now I would like for you to try one. All right, let's say that you're like, I want to check my work, or you're super stuck and the STAR test is coming up in 2 weeks. So just type it into your graphs. You type that one in, equivalent. Remember, that means same graphs. So type in the first one. See, are they the same? As long as you type it in correctly. See, they're not the same. So you would know that's not correct. So if you're like, but I don't know, I got negative and it shows positive. So let's see if I did it correctly. See, and you get the same graph. So now I want you to try one. You can do it by paper or you could do it on the Desmos graphing. Just type it in there and see which one's the same. Equivalent means the same. So let me show you one where I would like for you to try on your own. Okay, let's try this one. So it's asking for the slopes. You're going to have to solve this one. You won't be able to do it by the graphing calculator. So stop the video and try it. All right, so let's see if you did it correctly. All right, so we have to solve. And now this has an x, this is a y, no x, no y. So because this doesn't have a y, it needs to move. It's positive, so it's going to turn to negative, or we subtract it. 5 minus 5 gives you 0. Let's bring this down. Okay, and then I'm going to divide by what's in front of the y, which is this -12. Okay, so this is my slope, the one that has the x, of -5 over -12, which simplifies to a positive 5/12. Good job if you did this correctly. Now, sometimes they ask you to solve. Let me show you that one. And then you'll have an opportunity to practice. Okay, so let's try this one. Now, let's say that you try it and you want to check your work. I'm going to show you how to check your work using Desmos. So do you see all those x equals? Let's put them in the graphing calculator. Okay, let me clear all. All right, so this one, I'm going to use x equals 3. I'm going to put it into this equation. It's supposed to equal this one. So let's see if it works. So I hope I didn't delete it. So x equals, what was it, 5? So here's the whole equation, but I'm just going to cut out this piece. Okay, n equals to 2. So the other side, so see how I'm getting one side of the equation, this side, it's supposed to equal this side. So now I'm going to put this one in there. Okay, that's the whole equation, but it's supposed to equal each other. So look, they don't equal each other. So that means that x equals 5 is not correct because this side of the equation and the other side of the equation are supposed to be the same. So let's try the next one. It was x equals 3. So here's the whole equation. Now I'm going to put only what goes in front. So it equals to 4. Now let's see what the other side, if both sides are equal to each other. And they're not. So that's not the correct answer either. Let's try C. So I type in what they give me. I type in the equation. It's supposed to equal the other side. So I'm going to erase this part. And 6.6 is supposed to be the answer for the both sides. See how this part's already up here. This part's there. So I'm typing in, I'm going to take this one out because these two parts are supposed to be equal because that's what it says in the equation. But they're not. So let's clear all. Let's try the last one. Okay, so there's my equation. And I'm taking out the second part. Okay, I'm putting it here because these two parts, this part is already, or what I already typed. So these two parts are supposed to be equal. And they are. That's your correct answer. So I want you to try. So you're going to type in x equals. Okay, I typed in that, and then I typed this in, and it's supposed to equal whatever's here. So I typed that in. So I want you to try. So type in these. It doesn't say x equals, but you're going to type in x equals. Type in the first part and see if it equals the second part. If it doesn't, that's not the correct answer. So pause it. Let's put this in your scientific calculator. Okay, so the first one's x equals 6. I'm going to press clear all. X equals 6, enter. And then the equation, oops, wrong one. Let me write it down. Sometimes I forget. And you do not want to mess this up because that's the only way you could really get it wrong. Okay, 8x minus 3 parentheses 2x minus 4. Okay, and then type in the other part. Supposed to be equal to each other. Okay, and look, they're not. So to prevent myself from having to type this every time, I'm going to copy it. So I'm going to clear all because that did not turn out to be the same. Let's try the next one. What else? What was the other one? X equals 2. So I type in x equals 2. Okay, that's supposed to equal the other side of the equation. And the other side of the equation is 3 parentheses x minus 6. They're not the same, so that's not the correct answer. Let's press clear all. What's the next one? X equals 30. X equals 30. That's the first part. Now the second part should be equal to it. If it's not, then that is not the correct answer. They are the same, so that's your answer. Good job if you got that correct. So now I want you to try some practice ones by yourself. So you can see, are you getting these right? These are past questions, and that'll give you a good idea if you are rocking and rolling. So let's start with this one. For each one of these, stop it, work it out. What is the answer for number 1? So stop the video, work it out. What is the answer for number 3? I'm going to zoom in so you can see the table. Stop the video. What is your answer for number 5? Stop the video. What is the answer for number 6? Stop the video. Let me zoom in. What is the answer for number 20? They're asking for the rate of change. Let me zoom in, pause the video. What is the answer for number 23? What is the answer? Stop the video, look at number 26. What's the answer for number 26? Stop the video. What's the answer for number 32? Stop the video. What's the answer for number 35? Stop the video, let me zoom in. What's the answer for number 39? Stop the video. What's the answer for 44? Let's try this one. What's the answer for 53? Let's try this one. What's the answer for 54?